Dissection of the Sheep Brain by Diamond, Layla, and Yovita. We will give you a basic explanation of the sheep brain and how it functions.
This picture shows us what the sheep brain looks like when it has been rinsed and placed on the dissecting tray, dorsal side up. On the sheep brains that we were given, there was no dura mater or outer meninges because they were removed prior to us getting them. Here you will see two pins that represent where the frontal lobe and brainstem are located on the brain, dorsal side up. And in this case, it shows the right frontal lobe.
Okay, so the pins here will show you the anterior part of the brain, which is the frontal lobe that controls planning and decision making. And dorsal to this lobe is the parietal lobe, which controls pain, temperature, and touch. Inferior to this lobe is the temporal lobe, and this controls hearing and process memories. And dorsal to the cerebrum is the occipital lobe, and this controls your vision. Inferior to the occipital lobe of the cerebrum is the cerebellum, which controls muscle movement and coordination and what you see. Here we show you the cerebrum, which controls your thoughts and actions, and we'll also see the grooves of the brain known as sulci, along with the gyri, which is the ridges and longitudinal fissure, which separates the two cerebral hemispheres.
On the dissecting tray, you will see a brain that is now facing ventral side up, and the pins here are showing the medulla oblongata, which is in charge of connecting the brain to the spinal cord, pons, which connects the upper and lower part of the brain, the brainstem, which consists of the medulla oblongata, pons, midbrain, and continuing downward to form the spinal cord, and the spinal cord, which is a tissue in the spine.
This is the olfactory bulb, which helps with the senses for smell and lies below the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. The egg-shaped structure that is formed by the crossover on the right of the left optic nerves that are shown here with the pins is the optic chiasma. This shows you the right and left hemispheres of the sheep brain once it has been cut along the sagittal plane.
The pins are showing you the thalamus, which controls your five senses, the hypothalamus, which controls your appetite, thirst, and hormones, the pineal gland, which controls your sleeping habits.
On the cut surface of the cerebellum, you will see a tree-like pattern that is called the arboreal vitae, which you will also see a pin that located the midbrain. This is the lateral ventricle, which is part of the ventricular system and provides cushion for the brain and creates a cerebrospinal fluid.
Here we have made a cross-section through the cerebral hemisphere, which is just anterior to the thalamus. Now you can see the gray matter and white matter, which is located with the pins. The difference between the two is that gray matter is the dark nuclei of the brain cell bodies, and white matter is a long extension called axon.
The cerebral cortex, known as the hippocampus, which is associated with long-term memory. We have used the picture offline to show you where it's located because with our brain we were unable to identify the hippocampus. So right here you can see where it's at. We have now gone through the entire flip lesson of the sheep brain, and we hope you learned some more and enjoyed. Thank you.